Okay, so in this session, I'm going to tell you how we are going to create the ad hoc task which is going to initiate our business process. For that, we'll create a new client-side human service using this user interface plus icon which is shown along with the user interface. I have already created this client-side human service, so I'll walk you through the code. Okay, so this is the initiate account opening request client-side human service that I have created. Okay, it can be easily created by clicking this plus button. Okay. Let it open up. Okay, so first we are going to look at the variables. Since we are not going to take any input, this is an ad hoc client side human service, we are not going to have any inputs. This is just going to have a private variable account opening which is going to be used to populate the main business object we have in our process, and it is also going to be used on the coach view for binding the request details, coach view that we have. Request type, it is used to populate the request type list that we have on the request details coach view. Okay, in the diagram we can see that I have used the init data script, and it is used to first it is used to initialize the account opening object tw.local. Basically all the local objects, all the private variables input and output that we define in IBM BAW are accessed using tw.local the name of the object. This is pure JavaScript. I mean, this is in Angular brackets. We initialize the JavaScript object. So I've used the same. I have initialized the account opening object first. Then I have initialized the request details within the account opening. After that, I have initialized the request start date, because this variable cannot be variable cannot be inputted on the coach view. It has to be pre-populated. So I'm initializing it with a new date. It is going to set the current date in this object. Requester ID, it is tw.system.username. Why system? System is basically it is used to access all the system objects as well as the APIs as well. So user.name, this will have give us the login name of the user who is currently trying to initiate this ad hoc request. What we have done is, in the overview tab you can see that we have exposed this ad hoc service to branch makers. So only the users in this role will be able to access this link when they open the process portal. Okay, and this one is going to give the name of the user who logged in and clicked on that link. What is reference number? Basically we are going to populate this reference number using some database. I mean, we are going to use a database sequence to get a unique sequence every time, and we are appending AOP is the name short term for the account opening process. Okay, so we are creating a reference number. It is hard coded at the moment. But once we integrate the database, we are going to fetch this as a sequence, and then we are going to append AOP with that sequence number. Okay, so that every time whenever anyone initiates an account opening request, we get a unique number. What is this? This is the same. I mean, we are populating the drop down that is binded with the request type field that we have on the UI on the coach view. So we initialize this using the square brackets, and then we have to initialize each index of the list. We are storing individual and minor, and I've copied this code from the enter account information because we populated the drop down already on that task service. Okay, once done, we drag drop this. I mean, the coach would already be there when you create a client side human service. When you open this coach up, you have to drag drop the request details CV onto this coach view. Okay, onto this coach, and then do the binding as well. Okay, binding and configurations, everything has to be passed to this coach view. Let it open up, and then I can show you. Okay, so this is the request details, coach view that I have drag dropped on this coach. If you see that it is first I have drag dropped a panel. Okay, within that panel, this is the panel. Okay, within that panel I have just drag dropped the request details CV from here. Okay, this I have just drag dropped. And when you click on the CV, I mean, it is expecting the binding as request details. So you have to select account opening. Okay, the private variable you have defined dot request details. Okay, so this is the binding that you have to do. Okay, after that you have to do the configurations as well. So if you check the configuration options, you have to pass the request type list, which is a name value pair. You can see that request type list we have already defined over here. Okay, we have initialized it over here, and it is a private variable over here. So you have to do its binding on the coach view. like this. Okay, request type visibility, I mean this is an ad hoc task. I mean you have to pass it as required, so we can pass the visibility as required on this coach view. Next, since you have done the binding, you have done the configurations, what you have to do is you have to drag drop a horizontal section and put two buttons in your coach view. I have already taught in the previous sessions how you need to drag drop these buttons, how you need to color them, how you need to align your horizontal section. Everything has been taught in the last session, so I hope you can replicate that. When you go to the diagram, you just have to now take your events out of take your end events out of the coach view. One is close, the other one is submit. Okay, you have to connect this close to the end event. For this submit, what I have done right here is I have created a new, I have just drag dropped an item from here, I mean a service flow from here, this one, and I have clicked on new button. When I click on new button, it is going to create a new service flow for me like this. I clicked the finish then. Okay, I'm not going to create it right now because I've already created and it's very simple to create. So if we look at this service, I mean I can open this up. Okay, I have passed to it the account opening object that we have. Okay, account opening object has been passed to this as an input. It will hold whatever we enter on the UI or whatever we have pre-populated, like the request date, reference number, request type, everything will be there in this object. The next step is to initiate the process and pass to it the account opening object that we have. For that I have drag dropped the script from here. Okay, script from here, and in this script I have connected the start and end events to that script, and in this script I have written the code to initiate the process, and it's very simple. First you create a new map. Okay, new tw.object. So whenever you initialize an object, you have to use tw.object. This is how IBM BAW expects it to be initialized. I mean, this is the syntax for IBM BAW, tw.object, dot the type of the object. So the map is the type of the object. Map basically is a structure which holds key value pairs. So when you say map dot put, what is this? You have to put the name of the object that is there in your business process and its value. Value is obviously tw.local.account opening object. This is the value that we are passing. This is the object name. So basically this is the object, the object itself, and this is the object name. Which object it is? If you open the process, you open the account opening process, okay, and you see the variables. You see the variables, you can easily see that account opening is the name of the object. So you copy this name from here and you just simply paste it over here. So this map is basically has a key which where the key is the name of the object in the process, and this is the object itself. So your map is defined. Then you are going to call a system API tw.system.start process by name. Here you have to pass the name of the process, which is, if I click over here, it is account opening process, and then you have to pass this map. So basically in order to start the process as well as to pass an object to it which holds all the data, you need to use this API, and this API expects the name of the process and the map which is holding the object. So when you finish this off, what I can do is I can run this ad hoc task for you and show you how it is going to initiate an instance for us. This ad hoc task, initiate account opening request, very simple to create. Okay, what I can do for now is I can just click the search button. Okay, let me press the search icon. It will land me onto the inspector page. Okay, I can delete all these instances that we have. I can press the shift button and maybe I can, if I get the option, maybe I have to delete them one by one, because I mean I want you to see what instances we have available. I mean what we just created. I don't want you to be confused. So where can I delete them from? Okay, we can stop this. Okay, then we can terminate all these instances. Stop. Okay, we have terminated all these instances like this. Okay, and once this one is completed, so once I refresh, I can just select all of them and I can just delete them because we don't need them. These are just test instances that we have created. This one is completed. We can also delete this one as well. Yes. Okay, so there are no instances right now in our training app process. Okay, so now this ad hoc service is ready. It will be exposed as a link to the branch maker. Now if he opens this process portal and runs he clicks on the process portal link, he'll get this interface and he'll just submit and process instance will be launched. We can replicate the same using the process designer. So I'll click the play button from here. Okay, and it will show me my ad hoc task. I mean, this one is initiate account opening request. I can click the request type individual, okay, and then I can press the submit button. As soon as I press the submit, I can, check my instances. If I refresh, I'll see that my instance is created, and we can also examine its data. I mean, in the data, we'll have the account opening object. In the account opening project, we have populated, right, the request details. So if I open the request details, you will see that my ID is here, request type is also here, individual, the reference number we set is also there, request start date is also there. These are the variables we defined, and we can clearly see that when our instance got launched, this data got passed to the process using the ad hoc task we initiated the instance from. Okay, so next step, I want you to, in the last session we did not complete the account, CV we have. We did not complete its configuration. It's done over here, but I'm going to walk you through it. Okay. So if you click on the account details tab, you must have, seen that we have, it is expecting, this account details. I think this is already binded, but if you open this account details CV, you will see that we still didn't do the binding for this, or it's missing, or it's not done. So in the last session, maybe we did not even create this as a list. I mean, we forgot to, we have to do one thing. Okay, you open the account details object, okay, that is passed as input to the CV. And if you go to the account list, you have to make it as a list, okay, because this is a list and it has to be binded with a table. It can have multiple entries, so this has to be a list. Please select this type, and then once this type is selected, you have to, click on this table, and on this table you have to press the select button. You have to go to the account details, and then you have to bind it with the accounts list. Okay, make sure this binding is done. And for the other two, account type and currency, make sure that you do the binding like this: account details dot account list dot current item dot account type. And for this one, if it is not already done, the same account details dot account list dot current item dot account currency. Okay, so once this is done, you just make sure that you click on this drop down, check its configuration, and make sure we have, selected, the account type list, its item selection data is there, output business data is there. Similarly for the account currency, make sure that its value, display name, and its input data is already selected. Okay, this I think was covered, but this binding was incorrect. In the last session, we had to convert this into a list. Okay, now when we go to, let's close this CV. We go over here onto the, the CV. We have done that binding, but its configuration on this main coach, I mean on this TS, this configuration was missing. Okay, so for this you have to click show add and show delete button. These were the configuration options we already defined in the last session, but from the main coach we are now setting these options. When we click on these check boxes, I mean this boolean will be set as true, and whenever we render this task, then delete and add buttons will be shown on our task. I think we forgot to create these variables as well in the last session. So we have to define account type, account currency, and card type. Why card type? Because card type is also a list on this coach. Okay, so we have to define the lists as private variables for these three lists as private variables, and we have to populate them. If you go to the diagram, click the init LOVs. First, you have to, create these three variables: account currency, card type, and a card type, and account currency, card type, and account type. Okay, you click on the plus button, which is there with the private, along with the alongside the private option that you have. You click the plus button, and one by one create these name value pairs, and keep the data type as list from here. Okay, name value pair list. This also you have, I mean, you know from the previous lectures. Okay, if you expand this now, you can, see that I have once I have created the private variables, I have to initialize them too. So over here I have initialized these private variables: account type, account currency, and card type. Okay, so these I have placed current and saving in the account type, PKR and USD in the account currency, gold, silver, platinum in the card type. You can easily, create these lists, right? You have already learned how to, initialize LOBs in previous lectures, so you can easily do that. What is this? This is just to initialize the account details object, and we can place a null check so that in case if this task gets executed in future, okay, these variables are not reinitialized. We don't want to we don't want data to be overridden. Okay, so we will say if tw dot local is the local variable, local dot account opening dot account details uh, is not equal to sorry, is equal null, or is equal, okay, let's say equal null. Okay, I think that's enough. Let's not check on the length. If it's null, then we have to initialize it, and we have to initialize the list as well. Okay, then what we do is next, I mean, we have initialized these variables, then we open this coach, and we know you need to select all these bindings. I mean, you have to pass these to the coach view. So from the coach, so you have to select account type, then here you have to select account currency like this. Okay, and here you have to select the card type, okay, which is a list. Once this is done, and try to execute it. Okay, let's execute it. Account opening dot account details should have an array, but it does not. Okay, what is this? Let's see. Let's debug. There is an error, so let's debug. Account opening dot account details should have an array. Okay, let's see where we did something wrong. Account opening dot account details, this is absolutely fine. If I open the account details CV, here we have done this correctly. This is also correct. This is also correct. Account details dot accounts list. And where does it say that the variable or business object property should not have an array, but it does not. Okay, so if account details equal null, maybe I'm initializing it over here like this. Okay, so we can remove this default initialization. Okay, and then we can try to execute it. Okay, we don't want to have default initialization. Okay, and then we have some error in init LOEs. Let's see what it is. These errors do come. Okay, we have to fix them. Undefined. Okay, so this one says that we have to initialize the account opening. Okay, we have not initialized it. tw dot local dot account opening is equal to like this. Okay, let's run it now. Okay, so it worked basically. I mean, I have initialized, I had used the default initialization, so it was bypassing my code. I mean, it was not working. So what I have done now is I have removed the default initialization. I have initialized the account opening object, and for the account details I say if account details equal null, just initialize it, and also initialize the account list within that account details object. Okay, and initialization of list is done using square brackets. Now if I run this, I just want you to see the accounts section. Okay, how we can add multiple accounts and delete accounts. Now if you click on the account details, I mean, you see this plus button, you can easily add accounts. Now add as many as you want. I can say current and PKR, then I can say saving and USD. Also you can delete these accounts, like I can delete these accounts. Okay, The same you have to do on all other tasks like branch authorization, account opening, maker checker. On all those tasks, you have to, complete this configuration. Okay, you have to define these lists, as well as you have to, pass these lists as configuration options to the account details CV. Another thing I want you to learn today is the process history. Okay, process history basically, I have created this coach view. Let me show you the coach view first. Okay, I created a variable first of type process history. For that, I defined a business object process history. First of all, I have to define a business object of type process history. That I can do from here. I click on the plus button and I can define a new business object. Let's say it's process history. Once it is defined, you already know how to do that, and you can add these variables: user, role, date, time, comment, section. You can easily add these variables, okay, in your process history. Once this object is defined, you have to make it part of your account opening object. So if you open your account opening object, I have already defined process history over here, okay, and it will be a list. Okay, process history is the name and list is its type. So once this is done, you have to open your process history CV. Okay, you have to define a business object of the type process history. Okay, select the type from here like this, process history. Okay, and make sure that it's a list. Once this is done, you have to go on to the layout. You drag drop a table from here. Okay, I have already drag drop a table. You know how to drag drop tables and define columns. You already defined the account details CV, so you know that very well. So you have to drag drop a table. You have to drag drop all the display text into this table, and one by one you have to rename them: user, role, then action, date, time, comments. All these are display text. Okay, type is display text. Then you have to do the binding. You click on the table first, do its binding with the process history, and then one by one you have to bind all the columns like process history dot current item dot user, process history dot current item dot role, action, date, time, comments. Okay, once that is done, your CV is ready. Okay, then you have to go on to your enter account information TS, which is your main task service, and you have to drag drop, like you will search from here process history, and you will simply drag drop that CV over here. Once you drag drop, of course you have to do its binding. Okay, this will be empty. You have to do its binding. Where will the binding be done from? You have to do it from account opening, which is our main object dot process history. Okay, so everything will be saved into this main object's process history list that we have. Okay, next, I prefer keeping a comments text area. Text area can be drag dropped easily from here like this, text area. Okay, and this can be binded to a private variable, like, because we don't need to store it in the business object. It will just be it be there. Okay, it's a private variable comment. Okay, private, I added it like this, and it is binded to this text area like this. Select and comment. What will happen is that whenever we enter a comment and submit, that comment will become part of the process history along with other data, like the user who worked on the task, the role, the action, date, time. The comment will also become part of this process history. So once you have drag drop, you have done all the bindings, then the next step is to define a service. I have similarly as I did in the ad hoc task, I similarly drag dropped a service over here like this. Okay, I defined a new service flow like this. Okay, and when I defined it, it opened up. It had the start and end event connected, but I had to do all its implementation, like defining all its inputs and outputs, and I had to do write a script in it as well to populate the main process history object that is there in the account opening. So I can show you the service. It is already placed. Whenever we cancel or whenever we submit, I'm going to call the same, process history. So that is already there. Okay, but I'm going to open and show it to you. If I open this process history object, I can first show you the variables. So it will take the comments, okay, that I have defined as a private variable on my task service. It has process history list. Okay, it has decision, it has role. Okay, and then output is also process history. So when whatever changes I make to the process history, I would output that object as well. The goal is basically to insert one entry into this process history based on the action that the user takes on the task. The action can be cancel, the action can be submit. So based on that, I have to make one entry into this list. For that, what I have done is I have defined an audit entry private variable that is also of type process history, and the code is very simple if you see. Let me show you the code. So first I have checked if the process history is null. If it is null, obviously I have to define, because we cannot append anything into something that is null. So we have to initialize it like this. Okay, and for initialization you will always use tw.object, okay, dot list of dot process history. This is basically server side script. Okay, so here you cannot use angular brackets or you cannot use the square brackets. The best practice is to use the keywords that are provided by the syntax that is provided by IBM BAW, which is tw.object. So for initializing any object, you use tw.object. Okay, like we defined the account opening object when we were, maybe I think we don't define it earlier. So if you want to define something of the type account opening, then you will obviously not use list of, because process history is a list but account opening object is not an object. So if you had to define account opening, you would do tw.local.account opening is equal to new tw.object.account opening. Okay, then you get the length of this list. Okay, length will be, obviously, if it's null, initially we initialize it, the length will be 0. So that means that the item will be inserted at the 0th index of the list, because we are going to insert at the length. If there was one item already, we get the length is 1, it means the new item will be inserted at the first index of the list. So here now we just initialize a new date, it will give us a new date, which is the current date. Then we define this audit history object, okay, which audit entry private object, which is of the type process history. Look, we have tw.object.process history, like I told you earlier. Now we have to, one by one populate all the, variables in this audit entry: action, comments, role, date, time, because if it is of type process history, so it has all these variables. And where you are going to populate them from? Obviously from the inputs. Comments are coming from the task service, okay, from the coach. Decision is taken as an action, like it can be submit or cancel. Okay, and you are already setting decision in the account opening object. Role, it is also coming. I'll tell you where the role is coming from, but we set these variables one by one. And this date time, obviously this date will be a date object. We have to convert it into a string. For that, this is the simple, JavaScript code to do that. Okay, date dot format, and it will simply, convert your date into a string. Then audit entry dot user is equal to, what is user? User is the current, I'm getting the full name of the user. This is a system API, and whichever user is working on this task, the script will pick that use full name of that user. And then once we have this audit entry ready, we are just putting it into the audit history, process history. Process history dot insert into list. This is a function call, API call, and it will be available like this. If you click control dot and control space, you will get this insert into list. Okay, you will get this through IntelliSense, and I am inserting at the length what the audit history I just prepared, or audit entry I just prepared. Okay, so it will append one entry into this audit history list. Okay, when the service is done, we have to obviously pass the mapping. So mapping, I am passing comment is the private variable I defined. Okay, process history is from the account opening. It can be null, it can have entries, but our job is to push one entry into this list and then output it as well. So whatever get updated over here, it is mapped back onto process history object within the account opening. Then we have the decision what it was, we are setting it to either submit or cancel. Okay, so we are passing the decision as well over here. And then finally the role is obviously branch maker. We can hard code, but there is some, I can tell you what a localization resource is. Like if you click the plus button and you click on localization resource, here you can place all your hard coded strings. Okay, you don't have to hard code. If you want to change in future, you change at one place, and wherever you have used that localization resource, the code will automatically be updated. So let us define as account opening. Let me define account opening resource. Okay, and if you click finish, you can write as, you can say branch maker role, and you are going to say, okay, the name of this role is branch maker. Now once you have this ready, you can access the string anywhere in your code, like this. So if you open the account opening, you can go to variables. You can say, okay, I want to define a localization resource, account opening resource. It says, okay, we have defined, and here you can simply say tw dot, to access the localization resource, you say tw dot resource dot account opening resource dot branch maker role, and it's good to append a string. I'll append a string. Okay, that's it. And just forget about this warning sign of it. Obviously I'm writing a JavaScript to append a single quotes to a string, so that's why it is giving a warning. But ignore this, it will work fine. Okay, just ignore this. So our mapping is done. What we can do is similarly we can open the other task as well, branch authorization. Okay, and we can do the mapping for the account opening. Okay, if you sorry, account details. If you click on this account details tab, you have to do the mapping of the configuration options like this: account type, list account, currency, card type. Here I don't want to show the add and delete buttons on this, because eventually this task will show read only data. I don't want to show the add and delete buttons. If you go to the diagram, I have similarly defined the variables over here, like account type, account currency, and card type. And I have defined the private comments variable as well, because this task service also has process history. And I can simply initialize the variables over here like this. Okay, these are variables that are initialized. And then after that, what I can do is I can open this up, and I can just do the bindings of, I can pass the account type, account currency, card type. Similarly, I have drag dropped the comments text area, binded it with the private comments variable, and I have dragged up the process history as well and binded it with the account opening process history. Okay, so this is also the same as we have done in enter account information task. The next step is to drag drop again. The service was created, so once you have created a service, I mean, it's very easy. You just do this, drag drop, and just select the service from here, like process history service, set process history. So this will similarly start giving you the data mapping. You can rename it. You can just connect your these lines coming out of the scripts to this service. I'm not doing it because I have already done it. Okay, this is the process history service. It is a reusable service. I used it in enter account information task. Now I'm using it in branch authorization. If you check its data mapping, I mean, I've done the same: comments, process history, object, decision, and then process history is coming out, and it is mapped to the main account opening object, so that whatever comes out of the process history, it has to be part of the main account opening. Okay, because it has to be shown from task to task whenever we execute the process. Role is branch checker. So once this is done, what I can do is I can execute and show you how process history is shown from task to task. Let me do that. So I'm going to use this ad hoc task again. I'm going to launch my instance. Okay, and maybe I can set the request type as individual. I'm going to submit it. Okay, it will create another instance. We already had one instance, now it will create a new one. This one. Okay, second one is created. I can easily click the play button over here, and when I click the play button, I'll get this task. Here I can go to the account details. Maybe I can add some accounts. I can add maybe current, and then saving, and PKR, USD. Okay, I have add delete buttons, process history, nothing. So I can say branch maker comment. Okay, let's and then I'll submit. When I submit, okay, I'll definitely be getting the next task, which is the branch authorization. Okay, search is not working. Okay, what's this? Why this supplier management is coming? Okay, back to the workflow center. I don't know how this opened up. Okay, so this is my instance. I have to refresh it. This is my branch authorization task. Maybe some other tab is open. Let me just close that. Okay, I'm going to, let's forget about it. Okay, branch authorization. Just let me open it up. When I open this task, I mean, you can easily see that my the account details that I entered on the previous task are coming. I did not show the add and delete button on this task. Also, the process history, the comments that were entered by the branch maker are coming over here. The date time on which the comments were entered are also coming. The action is coming. Role is coming. The username is also coming. On this task as well, I can say branch checker comments, and I can simply approve. Once I click approve, okay, my next task is created, but I have not done the process history implementation on this task. So how do I know that my process history got updated in the business object, the one I pushed from the branch authorization task? I can simply expand the data tab. I can expand the account opening object, okay, like this, because it shows the data at all times. Okay, uh, at the completion of every step, you can see what data you have captured or what data has been updated. If I see process history, it should have how many items? Two items, like this: item 0, item 1. 0 was the branch maker comment, and 1 is the branch checker comment. So this way, even you can check the account details, it should have two items as well. Like the account list, you have the account type, the current, and the account currency I think was PKR, and then you had a saving account which has the currency as the USD, like saving and USD. So you can check your data object at all times. Okay, so this is done. The last thing I want you to see today is how we can handle the visibilities dynamically. Okay, let me just open account details CV for you. Okay, and here I have written some code. Let me just do one thing. Behavior, I can remove some code so that I can show you a few things. Load, I can remove this maybe. Okay, so what's the goal? Let me show you first what we are trying to achieve. So if I open enter account information, or maybe I can run it from here, I hope, directly. Yes, I can. Okay, if I show you this account details tab, if you press yes, look, these fields are coming up. I mean, initially these should be hidden, right? So in the load event of the coach view, we are going to write some code which is going to get the IDs of these controls, and it is going to hide these fields. Okay, if we have anything other than, I mean, if nothing is selected, or if no is selected. If yes is selected, then of course we have to show these fields, and if no is, if it's no, or if it's anything else, then we'll definitely not show these fields on load. But another thing, if you dynamically, I mean, if on the go you select yes or no, right? When you click no, let's assume it was yes initially. Now when you click no, these fields should be hidden. So how have I achieved this in IBM BAW? For this, I mean, for this one, like yes no is hiding, what you do is you open the coach view like this. Okay, account details CV, and you just click on this field, right? This request debit card. When you click on this field, you can see its events. Okay, when you click on the events, you have to do something on the change of this radio button. So I have view is you used to get the view. I mean, it is used to get the access of this view dot set card visibility. This is a function call that I have done for this view. And where do we define this function call? We go to the behavior tab, and in inline JavaScript we do something like this. I can walk you through this code. Variable underscore this is equal to this. This is basically a reference to this complete I mean coach view. Okay, it's giving you a reference. We store the reference in this variable, and then we use the same variable to define the to declare the function, like set card visibility function. This is the function opening bracket, this is the closing bracket, and this is the body of the function. What we do in this is, first we use we get the selected value of this variable, like debit card, whether yes is selected and or no is selected. Look at its binding. It is binded with account details dot request debit card. Where is account details? It is defined as a variable over here. So what we do is, this is the way to do is this dot context dot binding dot get value. This will give you the complete reference to this object, account details. And then when you say dot get request debit card, then it will give you this variable value, request debit card. Okay, it will give you its value. When you have its value, what you have to do is, let's keep it in a variable. Next, what you do is, you have to get your controls which you want to hide or show. For that, I have defined like this. If you go on to your controls, I have defined the IDs for these controls, like uh, card type, not the horizontal layout. Okay, the field itself, card name, and then delivery address. I have defined the control IDs for my controls. I get these controls using this, this AP, this JavaScript, this dot UI dot get, this dot UI dot get. This is going to give me the complete control. Once I have that, I'm going to check the value of the debit card, whether it's yes or no. If yes is stored, okay, if it has a value yes, then I'm going to do something else, I'm going to do something else. So the goal is that if it's yes, we have to show an asterisk beside the control. So I'm going to set its visibility to required, and if it is no, I'm just going to hide the control. So this piece of code is basically doing the job for us. If it's yes, I use this, this is also is, Java, a function provided by IBM BPM itself, context.options.metadata.visibility. Okay, you have to use it as is, and you have to set the value as required. If you do required, it is going to show a star. Let me show you again. And if you do it none, if you set the visibility to none, okay, it will hide the control. Okay, the goal the main thing is you have to just get the control ID, and then this will stay the same wherever you have to use this particular visibility function. Okay, let me show you again. Okay, if you go over here, if you say yes, okay, it is making it showing the stars. If you do no, it is hiding the stars. Okay, asterisk. Okay, and one more thing I want to achieve, like when you run this, you see that if you go to the account details, that there is no value and these fields are still shown. So you can write the same code in the load event, right? If you go to the load event like this, you can open the account details CV, you can copy this piece of code like this, you can go to the load event of the coach view, you go over here. Maybe you can hide this function because it's not a function call. We just need some code to be executed. We can call the function as well. But I've executed these lines of code on the load event of this whole coach view that get the value of the debit card. If it is yes, okay, show it as required. If it is no or something else, if it is not yes, you just simply hide it. Okay, so let's run it again now. Let me enter account information. I'm going to execute it again. And if you see account details, if I select yes, okay, it's coming up. If no, it's not coming up. And even so, sorry, one thing on load, did you notice that the fields are hidden now? Okay, the fields do not appear anymore like they were previously. Okay, because we have not selected anything. Okay, because the value right now when this code is loaded is it's not yes. If it's yes, then it would have shown. Okay, so it's working, and we can also dynamically control using the on change function we have written on this particular radio button. Okay, so I think that's all for today. In the next session, we are going to show how we are going to handle the visibilities across different tasks. Okay, um, you can see that even in the initiate account opening request, I have defined the visibility as required. It shows a star, but when I run it, it does not stop me from submitting. Okay, it does not require me to enter this field. Okay, but in the next session, I'll tell you how we are going to stop the submission, how we are going to do the validations. Along with that, we also saw that on the branch authorization, although we hit the delete and add buttons using the coach view configurations, but the table was still editable. We are going to implement visibilities across the task services as well as the validations for the fields on submission in the next session. Okay, thank you for your time.